June 14th is designated as Flag Day here in the U.S., and I've got a question for all you Americans out there. Which of these flags, this one, or that one, is our first flag here in the States? Oh, which one did you choose? Well, probably doesn't matter because you're likely wrong. No matter which one you chose, you're wrong. And the reason being is there really wasn't a official first flag. The country came into existence by separating from Great Britain in 1776. And it wasn't until June 14th, 1777, a year later, that the Second Continental Congress passed what's called the First Flag Act. And that reads, resolved that the flag of the United States be made of 13 stripes, alternate red and white. Okay, that the Union be 13 stars, white, okay, in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Well, that's as defined as the flag got. There really wasn't any sort of, the stripes are going to be red followed by white or white followed by red. And in fact, what happened is sometimes the flag was built with 7 white stripes and 6 red stripes, as opposed to the 7 red stripes and the 6 white stripes that we know today. It was probably a naval officer who decided that red should be the outside stripe because it stood out better against the sky than the white stripes at the top or bottom. And as far as the stars, anything goes. And you saw that I had a flag with a V in it. Well, the truth is a lot of states actually put the first letter of their state as the shape of the star. So that could have been Virginia, that could have been, it could have been a G for Georgia, it didn't matter. There was really no rule for how the stars would go into that blue field. Then in 1794, President George Washington, did you know that George didn't serve as president until 1789? He signed the Second Flag Act. And this is the flag that resulted from that second act. And what do you see about it that's different? Well, there's 15 stripes, 15 stars. And this is a flag that flew at Fort McHenry during the War of 1812. This is the one that Francis Scott Key saw when he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. This is a flag that is now on display in the Smithsonian Institute. And it's huge. It's like 30 feet by 40 some feet. It's big. And it's pretty remarkable to see this thing, but it had 15 stripes. Well, in 1818, 5 new states were added. And the practice of then adding new stripes each time you added a state, that just had to stop, because then we're looking at 20 stripes, and it just doesn't look right. So the Third Flag Act resolved to limit the stripes to 13, representing the 13 colonies, original colonies, and then you would add new states as additional stars. That Flag Act also stated that new states would be added, and consequently their stars would be added only on July 4th. So if you didn't know that, we can only add a state to the United States on July 4th. And finally in 1912, President Taft, with the addition of New Mexico and Arizona, signed an executive order that finally defined the official dimensions of the flag, and that the stars should be arranged in 6 rows with the tip of each star pointing up. This had not happened before this. And what you'll see in early flags is you'll see the stars kind of in different orientations, as if they were in a constellation, as if they were naturally occurring stars. So this is in 1912, we'll start finally seeing the stars aligned with the points pointing up. Well, let's talk about Betsy's flag. And as I mentioned earlier, there's some controversy around the flag and around Betsy's involvement in the flag. So the story goes like this. Betsy, the widow Betsy Ross, is sitting in her upholstery shop home in Philadelphia. And 3 men walk in representing the Congress of the United States. That's George Washington, Colonel Ross, who is actually Betsy's dead husband's uncle, and a guy named Robert Morris. And they come to her house and they say, Betsy, we need you to make us a flag. And they had drawn it out and they said, here's what we want it to look like. But Betsy takes one look at it and says, well, that'll never do. She says the stars are all wrong. And the reason is they had 6-pointed stars. And Betsy, being a seamstress, she knew that you could fold a piece of fabric and with one cut, you could make a nice 5-pointed star very easily. And with the idea being, if you're going to make a lot of flags, you really ought to make them easy to make. So Betsy redraws the flag, she makes it, and they take it off, and you know, woohoo, we have a new flag. Well, here's the reality to that story. There is no congressional record of Betsy being commissioned to make a flag. None of these 3 men documented anywhere in their letters, their writings, their diaries, nothing, to say, hey, we visited Betsy and we had her make us a flag. That doesn't exist. There is plenty of congressional record on people being paid to do things, especially people making flags in Philadelphia. And there's no record of Betsy being paid to make this flag. And the last little bit that's kind of funny is the story doesn't become popular until 1870, 94 years after the event, when Betsy's grandson starts telling a story that was passed up through their family, and it was stayed basically within the family. And that's the story about George and Colonel Ross and Robert Morris coming to visit her and so on. Well, that story became very popular and everybody kind of fell in love with it. And suddenly we have a first flag. So there's a bit of controversy around Betsy's flag. Most historians would probably tell you no, she didn't make it. We all kind of love the idea that she made it. So that's where that's at. So you tell me, which was the first flag? It's an interesting story, and it's one that's worth spending some time researching. So I would encourage you to do that. And have a happy Flag Day. Hey, as always, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click the thumbs up button down below. It really does help. If you'd like to be notified when we publish new content, go ahead and click my channel icon to subscribe. And finally, while you're here, take some time to check out some of our other videos. Have a great day and get out there and do something new today.